But as I said, we have a special guest. It's Maurice O'Brien is joining us this morning. Maurice obviously has won two under-21 All-Ireland medals, coached Limerick to one as well, won a Leinster with Dublin and played for Limerick as well. A really unique career, Maurice, but thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks, Jack, and thanks, Matt. Good to be on with you guys. How are you keeping?
Good.
Good, Jack. Good, Maurice. Very good.
I suppose, Maurice, to be fair, I really first noticed you coming to prominence in the Limerick J circles back in 17 when you had the Limerick 21s, and it's only 6 years ago, but the progression of those lads, you pinch yourself when you see how far they've come. Obviously, they won an All-Ireland, but to see the likes of you had Sean and Kyle and Keane and Aaron and so many more, just the superstars they've become.
Yeah, look, you could probably see it at the time. It was a phenomenal under-21 team, gifted players. They were all breaking onto the senior team at the time. Some of them were there. Most of them probably were broken on by the following year when they made the breakthrough in 2018. So you could see they were a special team. But they had been a special team since under 14 all the way through. This was the flagship side of the academy structure. Probably unlucky not to win a minor All-Ireland. But look, probably that hurt has seen them good, where you could see the drive at them at under 21 level to right that wrong, and have just continued on in spectacular fashion ever since.
When, I suppose, did you realise that they were that special group, the group that were eventually going to end the 45-year wait for a senior All-Ireland and then go on and win 3 in a row?
I know at the time involved them at the 21s. When I got up close and seen them in action, you kind of knew they were going to be, I suppose, very close to making that breakthrough. Probably didn't see it happening as fast as it did going on to win it the following year. But I suppose you had that feeling that if ever a team was going to make the breakthrough, these were the guys, because they were driven, obviously talented, but driven in everything they did. Phenomenal bunch of players, and look, if they weren't going to make the breakthrough, where would you turn after that, So no surprise probably came maybe a year or two earlier than I expected, but look, isn't that a great thing now? It set them up brilliantly.
And did you ever envisage what would happen over the next 6 years, not only for that group of players, but for Limerick in general?
Sure, look, we hadn't won one in 45 years, and it was 40 odd before that again, so you couldn't really envisage going on to do what we've done over the last 6 years, But look, isn't it brilliant? Long enough we've seen, I suppose, the big three, probably Kilkenny primarily, dominating hurling. So look, isn't it brilliant to see, especially ourselves, driving on and becoming that dominant force, and looking at all the work that's going on now in the academies underage. You see fellas trying to break into the team. Not the easiest team in the world to break into, but isn't it great to see fellas, putting the hand up now and having a go to try and break in there now again.
Yeah, and you had obviously a unique insight into that. 15 years previously, you had won a 21s in Ireland, and you won 2, and it was 3 in a row for Limerick. And was there ever a fear that it mightn't just work out for him like it didn't for you? Yeah,
no, just there's always that fear, But again, I suppose the county as a whole probably learned a lot of lessons from our era. The amount of chopping and changing of managers and whatnot. So look, John Kiley being put in situ and given the time, and look, won an All-Ireland his second year, so given the time. But look, again, if that didn't happen, I'd like to think that they'd have stuck with him as well, because he had come up with this group of guys. He'd won an under-21 with him in 15, So you can see with given time, given patience, and look where they are now, And it's, look, you see the structures that are in place. They're it's a phenomenal group to work with. Our time, we didn't have that. We had a new manager every year, new brush every year. Some guys in, some guys out, and it continued like that for years. So I'd say, the academy structures put together, the county board, Joe McKenna probably saw all that happening 10, 15 years previous, and stuck with John Kiley, and we've reaped the rewards of it now.
In a way, you mentioned there, did Limerick have to have that kind of failure, I suppose, for want of a better word, to see the success and realise this has to be, I suppose, nurtured at a young age and bring them all the way through and mind them then when they get to the senior level?
I don't think you have to see it, It was a lot of failure over a sustained period of time, while being a top tier county for all that time, not to make the breakthrough for 45 years. I don't see ever envisage that happening again. Hopefully, with the structures that are in place today, that we'd remain, obviously at the level of success currently. How long is that sustainable? It's not possible long term. But look, to be in that top 2, 3, 4 all the time should be the goal going forward.
And I suppose they're at a very good age, the team that you had, and there's players constantly coming through that when you do have that group, that you don't need that many coming through every year, only 1 or 2 that'll boost. And we see that now. How important is it to keep those 1 or 2 coming through every year?
It's hugely important to keep them coming through, and you're probably seeing now what happened in Kilkenny for years, that you probably don't break onto the senior team until you're 22, 23. And you'd have seen great Kilkenny minors, 21s, that probably we didn't see them for a couple of years, and they broke through at that age, So now is the age where maybe the Limerick underage players have that couple of years in with the senior panel, strength and conditioning behind them before, like they're not thrown into the deep end straight away. Look, Cathal O'Neill, probably a prime example of that, has seen game time, over the last couple of years. Probably a huge season for him now, out of underage ranks. Hopefully his injury troubles from earlier in the year behind him, and a huge year for the likes of him now. Can you break through at 21 years of age? So look, it's brilliant. You don't have to force these guys anymore. You can let them develop, give them the chance, and let them develop. And when they're ready, they go then at that stage.
And as a coach, Maurice, if you were coming up against Limerick, we kind of see teams that are trying to match fire with fire. Would you be trying to take on Limerick at their own game, or would you be trying to do something differently, because it doesn't seem to work whichever way you do it against Limerick at the moment?
Yeah, look, sure. Yeah, it's hard to know. So hopefully I won't have to come up with a plan. No, look, it's how would you go about it? Look, Waterford probably tried to go against them physically the last couple of years and probably had a good go, but again fell short and probably fell apart on them. Then after that, Clare similarly physically had a go. I'm just waiting for a Cork or someone like that to come at them in a different way with a pacey team and go at them with real pace. So I'd be expecting that this year from the likes of a Cork, to test them mobility, young fast forwards around the place. Is that a key to be successful? Who knows? Nobody's really tried that with them yet. Galway again have tried them on the physical stakes as well. So you've seen that hasn't worked for any team yet, and I couldn't see a team physically matching Limerick and going toe to toe with them physically. So is a new team going to come with a fast brand of pace and strength and speed? Who are they going to be? Is it going to be Cork? Is it going to be Tip this year under Cahill? Who's going to come with that game plan to take them down?
Yeah, I'll get onto that game at the weekend in a minute, but I'll let Matt, you can jump in there for a minute.
Yeah, Maurice, I just need to take you back, maybe perhaps to your Dublin career, which was very, very distinguished. And you were part of a Dublin team that played an awful lot of bogeys, winning the league for the first time in what, 73 years, was it, in 2011, and winning a championship in 2014 for the first time in 52 years. Fantastic achievement at the time under Anthony Daly.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic group to be part of, Matt. Delighted I got the opportunity with Anthony to be part of it. I suppose they did a bit of a clear out of the cultures, as they call them up there, when Anthony came in. So he brought in a couple of us then, Niall Corker and Ryan Dwyer and myself. So yeah, privileged to be part of it. A great bunch of guys, special team. Probably. So I suppose the success levels have dropped up there since Anthony has left as well. So unfortunately, they're probably back where they were before that. But they were great times, Matt. Special times, and great to be part of it. And probably for me, a second opportunity, a second chance at it. Probably was living in Dublin for a couple of years at the time, and great to get that opportunity when Anthony came on board. And to be part of a special team like that. It was brilliant. It'll be a second chance for me, and delighted to get it.
It's much talked about to this day, Maurice. The All-Ireland semi-final of 2013 with Cork. Was it one that got away? Was it one that Dublin left after them?
Look, it was a sliding doors moment for the team. There was probably an All-Ireland there to be won. Clare obviously went on and won it afterwards. We had, I suppose, primed ourselves for 5 years. Everything was goal towards winning that Leinster Championship. Truth be told, Matt, it was geared ourselves to that. And if you can win a Leinster Championship, you're beating that Kilkenny team, So an All-Ireland as possible then. So yeah, look, it was a great run. 2013, we suffered a lot of painful days against Kilkenny in that 5 years, trying to match them, and Kilkenny probably knowing that we were a coming team and took every opportunity they possibly could to put us back down as they could. So to eventually get over them in a replay that year gave us great confidence and a great opportunity to go on and look, win that Leinster Championship. Obviously, huge confidence boost again. Much point beating Kilkenny if you don't follow it up and win the Leinster final. Yeah, it was a disappointing, end to it really. The sending off. Yeah, sure. Look, we've our strong opinions on that, but look, it is what it is, and it's history now. And sliding doors moment. If it didn't happen, where does that result go? Look, there's no point crying over it. It is what it is, and Clare won the All-Ireland, and Cork beat us on the day, and that's it now.
Maurice, it was the first win in 52 years, and the previous win that Dublin had was in 1961, and they were captained by a certain man who made a huge impact in Limerick hurling subsequently, Noel. Yeah. So no, to be fair, there's a good connection there. I suppose he wasn't the first to be involved with both counties, So yeah, no, it was there's a great connection there really. And I suppose a funny thing, Matt, is at the time I don't think Limerick and Dublin played championship against each other all that often in the 80s, 90s, noughties up to a point, and I think from 09 to 13 possibly played 4 out of the 5 years, which was interesting in its way, But yeah, no, there's a great connection there, and obviously Noel as well, being that and coming down to Limerick post that his playing career. Yeah, so obviously great connection there. Yeah, Maurice, we're just at sort of winding up the college's career, the colleges for this season now. The Harty Croke Cup and the Fitzgibbon Cups have been just finished. You were very much involved in your career. Is it 2 Harty Cups and 2 Crokes with St. Coleman's?
Yeah, two Harties and 2 Crokes with St. Coleman's. Yeah, so yeah, they were the days. Yeah, so. See, Kieran's are still there, Matt, after winning a Croke Cup again. So look, we beat Croke Cup in my final year, beat Kieran's in the final, and Dennis Ring was always say it is great winning an All-Ireland colleges, but beating Kieran's in the final really is the key, And I suppose Kieran's are the standard bearers at colleges hurling and proving that they're still there to this day, winning another one this weekend just gone.
You had a star-studded outfit as far as I recollect in those days in St. Coleman's, with a strong Limerick connection apart from yourself.
Yeah, sure. Look, obviously the main man up front was Andrew Shaughnessy, So you're giving yourself a great chance when you've one of the best forwards in the game inside with number 13 on his back. So yeah, Shocks was a phenomenal schools hurler, Jesus, the scores he was racking up in them games was unbelievable, and from the Harty Cups when he was only maybe 15 in his first Harty Cup final, scoring 2, 5 or 6 in the final against Flannans, and was going on then at the same year and scoring something outrageous again in an All-Ireland final, and he really announced himself on the stage in colleges hurling.
Yeah, and you moved on then, just recapping your career, Maurice, you moved on then and picked up, am I right in saying, a Fitzgibbon Cup medal? Yeah,
lucky enough to be part of the LIT Fitzgibbon Cup team. I was there for a good few years. We lost a couple of semi-finals and lost the final, but we were lucky enough to win a final in 2007. We lost the final then the following year, 2008. So look, we had good times under Davy Fitz there, Sure, some of the training we did was probably, I had more fellas asking me about what kind of training you were doing and what kind of hurling you were doing. It was running up horse tracks and all sorts of stuff. I know what you get fellas to do it now, Matt. But look, good times, good teams. Look, we had Owen Kelly there with us for a while from Tip, and when he left, Joe Canning came in. So you had good standard forwards to be hitting the ball up to. So we didn't have to worry too much about placing it in their hands. Just let it up.
Returning back locally, Maurice, a county senior hurling medal with with Gareth Spillane in 2005 and guiding Glenroe to a county intermediate title in 2019.
Yeah, big gulf in years there, Matt. But yeah, no, I suppose, look, Gareth Spillane coming up along, I suppose we were knocking on the door for a couple of years, and look, had good underage success, and over a period of time before that, winning a under-21 beating Kilmallock, you know, and that probably gave great confidence, and went up and winning All-Ireland Sevens in Dublin the same year, and probably there was a lot of building blocks there. Lost the final against the Han in 2004, you know, heartbreaking one to be honest with you. Niall Moran sticking a free over about 6-7 minutes into injury time. So look, we bottled that, and look, come back the following year. There'd been a lot of years put into that. They were, I suppose, Gareth Spillane won the intermediate in '97 or that area, and lost the senior final the following year to Patrickswell. For probably the next 7-8 years. I was really knocking on the door to try and win that championship, and lucky enough to be part of that. A couple of us broke on from the under-21 team of 2003 to I suppose bit of freshness into what was already there, and luckily enough to get over the line in 2005. So it was great.
And the victory with Glenroe was as a manager in 2019.
Yeah, so was coaching them, Matt, with Danny Murphy as manager, and look, brilliant. Look, probably moved back down into the area, you know, and living in my home place again, and would be right next to Ballylanders, as you would know. So yeah, look, great to get the opportunity and a call from Danny. I probably finished up with the Limerick under-21s after 18, and Danny put in a call to see would I come on board. It's I'm living there right alongside him, knew all the players, you know, and knew that they were knocking on the door for a good few years, and why not have a go, you know. So look, really enjoyed it, and look, great. Won in our first year. Brilliant. Glenroe's first ever intermediate championship to win, and look, and have been knocking on the door of the Premier Intermediate ever since. You know, we contested 2 semi-finals in the next 2 years as well at Premier Intermediate level, and have really established themselves as a strong Premier Intermediate side, and probably pushing for the next step up, you know. So, and the underage there is going well and everything. So I suppose that's the goal in Glenroe now, is to push on from there.
Final question from me for now, anyway, at least. Have you any notion of retiring? Because I must let the listeners and viewers know that you have been scoring goals for fun with Glenroe Junior Bs for the last couple of years.
Yeah, there's a bit of crack, Matt. There's good enjoyment, yeah. So I'm kind of the variety now. If I don't want the ball in the corners either, I'm up in the air there, somewhere close to the square. And the ball's in there, you have a chance of scoring a goal. So yeah. Look, when I was coaching them there, I suppose I was itching to get out in the field a little bit, you know, and look, played with the juniors there the last 3 years. So yeah, look, enjoyable to be part of it.
Never give up, keep going till you can't go, Maurice. Coming back to the inter-county game, just as obviously a huge game this Saturday with Limerick against Tipperary in the league semi-final. First and foremost, do you think this was a goal for Limerick to reach this stage?
Yeah, I think so. You know, you could even listen to a couple of interviews there to Tom Morrissey that, you know, they'd like to have more league medals in their pockets, you know, and I suppose respecting the competition. And I don't know, was it by design last year that probably the results didn't go their way in the league? I wouldn't think it was by design. I'd say just a couple of results didn't go their way. They were a tiny bit behind in their training. I remember seeing them last year early. I was down in Ennis, early doors in the Munster League, and they were flying it, you know. And probably a couple of results didn't go their way in early years, and probably a little bit of a, you know, kick up the backside as well, you know. So I'd say this year definitely targeted it. I feel other teams haven't had a go off them as much as well. You know, I feel Galway didn't have a proper cut, and Clare didn't have a cut, and look, Wexford, I don't know, I was very disappointed in that the weekend as well. You know, there was no edge to the game at all. So I feel probably they will go on and put out a similar team, right? Like they have 10 of their team out every day and giving lads a chance in the proper way, which you know, having one newcomer per line, you know, and giving lads a proper opportunity to, you're getting your chance. You have Kieran Barry there, wing back, getting his chance, but he has a Declan Hannon alongside him and a Barry Nash behind him and a Will O'Donoghue or Dara Donovan in front of him. You're getting a real proper opportunity to stake your claim when you have those guys surrounding you, and helping you through a game. So I feel they're blooding guys in a good way. I feel probably they would push on now and try and win a league if they can. And again, this weekend will be an interesting, probably the first real challenge of the year.
Yeah, you had mentioned about the failure for them games, Ignite, Clare, Galway and Wexford, but from what you've seen a tip so far, I'd imagine they're going to be going for this and going hard for it.
No, definitely. I think we've seen with Liam Cahill from his tip underage years to Waterford. Like there's no easing off there. Like Liam will go for it. Liam's teams are, I suppose in your face, aggressive, exactly the way I like a team to play. He's bringing that to Tipperary, and I think Tip will come now and see this as a real opportunity for themselves to test these new players he has out there, and he's putting faith in them. They're buying into what he's doing, and I feel this Saturday evening's game, I suppose, probably an interesting game for the year ahead. Look, Limerick, we know exactly what we're going to get. Probably Tip now, it's a great opportunity for them to test themselves against that. Do they need to go back to the drawing board again and rethink, or is this what we're going with and keep going? Probably a real tester for them. Or I feel Limerick know exactly where they are, know exactly what they're going to perform too. So an interesting game ahead, I think.
Yeah, and regardless of how it goes, two teams going to the final, and obviously two will go back for the provinces. But there's only 3 weeks for the 10 or 11 teams aiming at Munster and Leinster. If you were to call the three getting out of Munster now, who would you be looking towards?
Jeez, that's a tough one now.
I should have warned you, Maurice.
Look, I'm going to mark Iran down anyway. It's been one of them.
Yeah.
I feel the other two. I think Clare probably in a good place, right? Even though their league performances don't show it. I think it's Brian Lohan into is he third or fourth year. Probably had a real crack last year off of Limerick on 3 occasions. Probably disappointed with how it went for them in All-Ireland semi-final. I feel they'll be there. I think it's going to be outside of that. Then you're looking at your 3 new managers. From my own instance, I think the freshness of a Cork or a Tip will be there. I think that it'll be a shootout between Cork and Tip, to be honest with you. Depends what Cork go with. Did he go with all the new young lads, or did they keep to the old guard? We don't know that yet from their league performances. I feel they've won a lot underage. I feel if they go with the new guard, go with a fast brand of hurling summertime, I feel it'll be Cork. I feel it'll be a dangerous team as well if they go with that. So at the moment, I'd go Limerick, Clare, Cork. It's a bad day to be saying it now. We're playing Tip this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah. You were well able to pick out your 3. You've been very generous time, but before you go, just a couple of quick ones. Your most memorable game, either as a player or a coach, one game that sticks out for you?
Most memorable game on the spot. I suppose I go back to my early days, the under-21s with Limerick. Probably beating Wexford in that final in 2001. Probably one of my most memorable games anyway. Beat them by a pint on the day, and I was only 17 at the time, completely playing with complete freedom, and probably one of my better days in the Limerick jersey. So really enjoyable that day, especially. Yeah, definitely.
Favorite venue to play in?
Favorite venue, Croke Park. But you got to play there with most Limerick players, bar the lads that are coming there now at the moment. But yeah, just any day you get to run out in Croke Park is a special day, So and look, what a place to be playing. And I suppose the Limerick players had a fear of it for a lot of years, and that's broken now. Thanks be to God.
The best player you've played with?
Best I've played with. Look, I'll stick with the man that I suppose won a lot with underage, Andrew O'Shaughnessy. Kilmallock man, look, what a great player, what an inside forward to have. Got to play with loads of great players: Joe Canning, Owen Kelly in colleges, Conal Keeney, Danny Sutcliffe in Dublin, obviously the Morans, etc. in Limerick. So great players. But look, Andrew for me is especially a standout player, you know, for his exploits, and I suppose his career getting a bit cut short, you know, in the circumstances they did as well. I feel he'd went on to do. They probably didn't come at the right time. What would he be like if he was part of today's team? You know, but he was that good. So definitely Andrew.
And the best player you played against?
Best player I played against. This is another good one. I suppose in again early days there was always that fear coming against Owen Kelly in Tipperary, and he never disappointed. You always knew what you were getting there, and it wasn't going to be an easy day. So I know, yeah. So I remember playing against Limerick minors, 0-0, I think 0-1, that kind of time frame, and just a phenomenal player, and continued it out through his whole career. So yeah, got to mark him a couple of times in Parnell Park, the Dubs. It was great to get him on a small pitch. So I enjoyed them ones more so than the bigger pitch in the summertime. So yeah, Owen Kelly, Tipperary.
And finally, the best player you've coached?
Best player I've coached. Look, I suppose luckily, in a sense, I have a good lot of them to pick with that one team. So I suppose for a standout moment in coaching, and it wasn't even coaching at the time, they were doing a fitness test early in the year, and the man in question had had been straight out of minor up onto the senior panel, and I wouldn't have known him really, wouldn't have stood alongside him before, and I would tend to look at the fitness testing, and he was down doing some exercise anyway down on the ground, and then he stood up, and he was about a foot over me and Kyle Hayes, and I was like, oh my God, this was coming off the production line. And yeah, went down then the following week to see him playing in Mallow for the UL freshers. He's playing as a wing back or centre back, and I suppose, look, we needed a centre back for our team, and we played him wing back for the first game and straight in centre back after that. And look, what a player, what a career he's had to date, and what's he, 23, 24 years of age. Probably, if he keeps going the way he's going, we'll go down as one of the all-time greats. So yeah, Kyle Hayes is just a phenomenal player.
Yeah, definitely unbelievable. And as you said, you have so many to choose from in all those facets of your career. But a fascinating career, Maurice. And I'm sure it's not over yet. I know you're not coaching at the moment, but I'm sure you'll be lured in down the line.
I've tougher things now, Jack. I'm coaching Glenroe under 7s and under 11s. So that's a harder task now than any Limerick under 21 team, I can tell you.
Yeah, you'll be glad of going back in with the adults. They'll listen a bit easier. But Maurice, you've been so generous with your time and a fascinating career, as we said, and I'm sure we'll have you back in again. You seem to be tipping towards Limerick for down the line, so hopefully we'll have you back later on. And many thanks for on again.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Matt. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you.